I've reviewed the Kia EV6 GT line rear-wheel drive and found it to be an excellent competitor when it comes to the expanding choices in the EV world. It used to be the legacy automakers had Band-Aid products to offer electric car shoppers. Now there are dedicated platforms with excellent range. There's the BMW iX and i4, Ford Mustang Mach-E, Polestar 2, Volkswagen ID4, Volvo XC40 and the C40 Recharge, Toyota's awkwardly named BZ4X, Subaru Solterra, and of course, Tesla Model Y and 3. There are more coming in the next year, provided battery and chip shortages can be worked out. As a physical product, the Kia is an excellent car, and with an 800-volt charging system that's supposed to juice from 10 to 80% in 18 minutes, that's in ideal conditions using a 350-kilowatt commercial charging station, EV6 has some real advantages over some other mainstream offerings. I summed it up this way. So the EV6 is good looking, it handles really well, it has great range, it charges fast, and it's reasonably priced. If you're in the market for an EV and you're not considering this, I can't figure out why. Okay, here's one reason. If you travel a lot, the infrastructure may or may not support you. I took a road trip from Seattle, Washington to Portland, Oregon to see if the rear-wheel drive GT line lives up to its 309-mile EPA-rated range. And right off the bat, I'll say it's a mixed bag. If you're only buying for the network because you travel a lot, Tesla is the way to go. The supercharger experience is transparent, and as a single network, it has the most stations. Add up players like ChargePoint, Electrify America, EVgo, and Shell Recharge, and things are better than expected for the Kia. Plus, Elon claims he's opening supercharging to all EVs, so there's that. You may not even need the infrastructure, since some 85% of all charging is done at home. I believe for the best EV experience, soaking up electrons where you sleep is critical.
Charging started.
I found the EV6 took them on faster than Kia claims, beating its empty to full pack estimate of 7 hours and 10 minutes by about an hour, and that's with ambient temperatures in the low 30s. I didn't use 350 kilowatt fast charging on this trip because I didn't need to, but I did try it with eGMP platform sibling Ioniq5, and I'll touch on that experience later in this video. Keep in mind that the base EV6 Lite model with the smaller 58 kilowatt hour pack has a slower top charge rate of 180 kilowatts, whereas the larger 77.4 battery the Wind and GT line have maxes out at 250 kilowatts. My trip starts out with a pack at 95% and temperatures in the low 30s, so the computer predicts 255 miles of range. Electric Vehicle 101. Cold temps and highway cruising are less than ideal for electric car efficiency, so this is a good test. And the EV6 is quiet and comfortable on the interstate, so it's a good road tripper. Remember, the rear-wheel drive EV6 has a rated range of 309 miles. All-wheel drive drops that by 35 miles. I drove like most people would. Heater on at 72 degrees, a bit over the speed limit, plus a number of acceleration runs to simulate passing on two-lane roads every 5 miles or so. No pretty exterior shots. I didn't travel with a chase car. It's just me and the lovely and charming, who's patient while I document this. She knows that organization is not my strength. I actually planned ahead. I called the hotel, and they have electric car chargers.
Excellent.
I finally planned ahead. Are you proud of me?
I'm very pleased.
It's a 185-mile shot driving straight through. Add on 10 miles for exploring and shopping, plus road food. I like this feature on the awesome head-up display. I know you don't look at your phone at stoplights, but if the car ahead leaves, you get this. It's really pretty handy to have. In the Pacific Northwest, this is the closest we get to In-N-Out Burger. Okay, I guess they're in the Portland area now, but these fries are much better. Mapping the route on the Navi system, it takes into consideration temperature and estimated speed. It predicted we'd roll into Portland with a solid cushion of 60 to 70 miles left. The system points out charge stations. We don't need those. Not very clearly, but good enough. We're about halfway there. All right, something to remember. It's cold out, about 34 degrees, and we're driving on the highway. Not exactly ideal conditions for EV range, and yet the EV6 is doing pretty good. It looks like we're going to roll into Portland with 60 miles of range left. Exactly what the computer said when we were in Seattle. So the computer is dependable, giving proper distance in conditions, which helps anxiety, and the driving tech is solid. This particular car is equipped with Highway Driving Assist 2, which is Kia's semi-autonomous driving system. You do really need to keep your hands on the wheel most of the time, but in use, it stays locked in its lane, it doesn't ping-pong around, follows the car ahead to a complete stop, even takes gentle curves all on its own. And I've been driving with the system on for 45 minutes or so, and not a single phantom braking. Just saying. And I can tell you, it's definitely more locked in than this guy. The head-up display is very impressive. The flicker is because of the camera. Tesla Autopilot with the radar has an edge over this tech. I haven't tested the camera-based version. The best that I've ever experienced remains GM's Super Cruise. By far, too bad it's in such few vehicles. So we roll into Portland, and the result is dead on. In mid-30 temperatures, during inefficient highway travel, the range is about 260 miles. Extrapolating the data, the 309-mile range is easily doable in better and mixed conditions, but you can't choose those, can you? And then there's this wrench in the machinery. I might have checked on chargers before I left, but the first two at the lot are out of order. And I had to poke around and push buttons to make sure. They're not even getting power. All right, that sucks. And it's one of the problems with EVs, gotta be honest with you. There are more stations, at least I'm sure they don't work at first glance. At working terminals, the e-tron isn't actively charging, and there's a special place in hell for the Highlander driver. Same goes for the Tesla and Pathfinder. It's easy enough to find a fast charger nearby, just inconvenient. So oddly enough, I ended up running into the general manager, Shane, and he was nice enough to find the person that had parked in that slot and cleared it away so I could charge overnight. So thanks, Shane. But this does drive home a point that the infrastructure isn't perfect. And even though I planned, things can go wrong. The awesome manager explained this was a city lot that the hotel contracted with, and all of the stations were being replaced in a week due to these issues. Teslas would be out of luck here too, so the charge where you sleep convenience doesn't apply to those either. At the Portland Auto Show, it's clear the legacy automakers have woken up. There will be a lot of choices soon. I'm montaging all of the pure EVs on the floor. The clear form factor is the wagony hatchback-like crossover, the kind of vehicle that shoppers want these days, because they're practical. The BMW i4 bucks that trend. And for those that want electric power in the city and worry-free travel for distance, there's always the plug-in hybrid route, though those require maintenance of the gas engine side. I'll thoroughly go over commercial fast charging during the Ioniq5 review. Remember, the Hyundai and Kia share the same architecture. Simply put, it's pretty darn quick, but I did not see the 10 to 80% charge speed of 18 minutes. It was closer to 24. Ambient temperatures were cold, but the battery was preconditioned. I did not reach the top rate of 250 kilowatts, and like I often find at Electrify America stations, there were issues connecting to my account, and at one point, it simply stopped charging for no reason. Had to restart. I suggest reading up on charge curves and which EVs can take advantage of these stations. This Mach-E owner waited for the 350 kilowatt station, even though he would have filled just as fast at the lower speed units that were open. There's not just a charging curve, there's a learning curve. Back to Portland, I woke up to a full charge and made it home without any issues, even though it was even colder. The all-wheel drive model would have been a closer proposition, but it would have still had a solid 25 miles left after each trip, so the EV6 range is quite acceptable, even decent for shorter road trips like we took. It's important to go on forums to find out what the real-world range of these vehicles are. Some manufacturers are very optimistic, others very conservative. If you road trip often, map out your common routes to check out infrastructure before you buy, and before purchasing, hire an electrician to make sure that your panel can handle the load. Keep surprises to a minimum. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and follow me on Twitter for more exciting hijinks. Okay, probably no hijinks, but it's a word that's fun to say and needs to be used more often, huh? And special thanks to the normally camera-shy Mariko. If your spouse is half as cool, you're very lucky. That's Driven. I'm Tom Voelk.